Hello and welcome back to another video on the Mini Cooper S R53 JCW. Today we're going to be fitting these PBS Pro race pads. If you want to see how to do it, stay tuned and I'll see you very shortly. Okay guys, so before we jump into the video I just want to go... It's still rolling. Okay guys, so before we jump into the video I just want to put a little disclaimer here. I'm not a trained mechanic. I've been working on my own cars for several years now. If you're not feeling completely confident on doing this yourself, brakes isn't the first thing to start with. Only do this if you're completely confident. You do one thing wrong and it can be really dangerous and you can end up hurting yourself or somebody else. So just putting that out there before you start this. If you're not feeling confident, just take it to a garage. It's much better to be safe. So it's very important before you start doing this is just to take the cap off of the brake reservoir. All it does is just relieve the pressure in the brake system, so when you're pushing the piston back there's no kind of resistance, so the pressure builds up in there. Right, so we've got the car jacked up, it's on an axle stand on a structural part of the car. We've got the wheel off. The next thing I'm going to do is just remove this front bit of the caliper, which is held on by these two little metal clips here. Before we do that, we're just going to push the piston back that's inside just with a screwdriver, just to remove the pressure off the piston so we can slide the pads out once we've taken the front of the carrier off. So you've got the brake pad here, another brake pad there. On this side you've got the piston that's just on the left, this circular thing. So you want to get even pressure and just slowly push the piston back into the caliper. The next step, we're just going to take this little spring clip off. So you've got a little dust cap just on here. Let's get a little screwdriver in there. And there's another one down the bottom. Pop those two off because there's a bolt inside on the top and the bottom that we need to do to remove the front of this caliper. So the socket you're going to need is a H7 Allen key. You may not have this in your toolbox if you've got the Halford set. It might be in the little red box or the little screwdriver attachments, but if not you'll have to order this separately. That's what we need to use. So you may have saw on the end of that sped up video, I was just holding the front of the caliper. Once you've taken those two bolts out, this literally just slides off. It's very unlikely it's going to fall off, but it's better to be safe than sorry. So the whole front of the assembly just comes off like that. So this pad has got the little clips inside that holds it inside the piston. So you may have to just give it a little pull to get it out. That's the clips, you'll see that on the new pads anyway. And then this one's just on two little hooks. So just move it off like that. Just place your caliper on top of the hub like that, just so it doesn't fall down and put any pressure on the brake hoses and the sensors. Okay, so whenever you change pads, just always give everything a little clean. It'd be easier with a wire brush, but I don't have a wire brush. Just be gentle when you're doing it with the piston. Don't want to end up damaging it. You're just taking all the brake dust off and all the crap that's got inside. Just give it a little shake out, and then all the stuff that's kind of caked on around here, just give it a little scrape. Okay, so before we put the caliper back together, again just give it a quick clean. Get rid of all the dust. If you don't do this every time, after a while you just get like really bad build up, so you just want to get rid of all the excess dust. And so we're just going to give it a quick spray with some brake cleaner as well, just to hopefully break down any more brake dust particles. Just put some on the disc as well. And just some on the caliper as well. Okay, so you're going to grease the back of the pads up anyway, but I always just run a little ring of grease just around the front of the piston like that, just to doubly make sure. That's the actual caliper ready to go, so now we're going to move on to the pads. So you may have noticed earlier when I was taking these old pads out, they're actually not old at all. We've only had them in for about 4 or 5 months, but we're just upgrading from Brembo to PBS. Obviously Brembo is good just for everyday use, but we're going to be doing track days in this car, so we decided just to bite the bullet and just put some PBS Pro Race pads in. So it's a good telltale sign when you look at the back of the old pad where the grease is kind of built up, where the points are you need to put the grease the most. So it's these 2 lines here. Then you should always put them on each hook like that, and then for the other one as well, that ring around that clip there is obviously where the piston sits, so it's good to put some around there. You don't really need any bits on here, and then again just on these hooks there. Be generous, but you don't need to put massive amounts on there. And then just put a little bit on the clips as well for the next time you take it out, in case the clips end up getting caught in there. And that's all greased up, ready to go. So we're going to put this pad in first with the spring clips on it. So just remember, the pad's the same shape as the actual caliper. It kind of goes in like a U shape, so you want to put it in that way, obviously not that way. So just going to put it down in there. So that's that pad in. I'm just going to rest the caliper on there just to make sure it all sits right, and then take the other pad, again the same shape as the disc, and then just slide the caliper over the pad like that, and that's in. So now we're just going to do these 2 bolts up. Spring clip needs to go on the front, and then it's all done. So before we put these pin bolts back in, I'm going to give them a quick wipe. And then just put a little bit of grease. Sometimes when you go to take these out, if you haven't changed your pads for quite a long time, they can end up getting stuck in there, and it'll be quite difficult to get them out. You have to get pliers to get them out and all sorts. So,
what grease are you using?
Olefin grease. So we're now just putting the spring clip back on. So you've got the two ends of the pins there, you've got a hole there and a hole there. The best way to start is put the little pin inside the hole like that, and then just pull that back and then pop it in. Same on there, into the hole. You may need to use like a pair of pliers or a screwdriver. So it slots in like that. Just make sure it's secure. And the last thing is round the back where you took the bolts out. Don't forget to put your dust caps back in. And then that's the actual caliper done.
I don't know how well you can see this, but I'm pumping the brakes and it's quite, I can put it right down to the floor, and you want to just keep doing that until you really feel some resistance there.
Right, so we've done one side, just need to do exactly the same on the other side. It's going to be identical to what you've just done. Once you've done that, you need to pump the brakes until they feel firm, and then just check that the pistons have pinched up against the pads again and there's no play in the pads. Again, just give it a good press on the pedal, make sure that there's no kind of, you know, sponge in the pedal and there's good pressure in the system. After that, put your cap back on, just go down the road really slowly at like say 3 or 4 miles an hour and just press the pedal just to make sure they're working before you start going around the block 30-40 miles an hour and slamming brakes on, because otherwise that could end in tears. I'm not going to show you the other side because I've done this side already, so you know what you're doing. If you enjoyed this video, give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.